Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. Before I get to my guest, which as you know, I'm very excited, another topic we haven't gone into, we got today. If you want to see me New Year's Eve, I am in San Rafael, California. I'm doing an early show, so you can go get drunk at midnight. I think I'm done. I think it's at 8. If you are in that area and you're interested, email me or I'll get you the details. It's at, I think, the Embassy Suites or something like that. Oh, maybe that's my hotel. Oh, don't come visit me. Okay. I'm just kidding. New Year's Eve, I'll get you more details on that. So today, I have to say, when people, see my website and my, resume, they go, "Oh, Karen, that's crazy. You do comedy and tarot and paranormal and all those things. That is the strangest combination." Well, today's guest has me beat. Our guest is Paul Dal Roberts, and I'm looking at, Paul, I'm looking at your resume right here. First of all, fabulous military career. Thank you for your service, first of all.
Oh, thank you, Karen. And thank you for having me on the show.
Great. You have done everything from, I don't even know how to make this smaller. I got Navy SEALs in here, Army Rangers, Delta Force, all these things. You did all those things?
Oh, no. I was with Op-4 opposing forces, and I was teaching the Soviet threat to Delta Force and all those elite groups. Yeah.
Wow. How's the Soviet threat now? Well, that's another podcast, right?
Yeah, it was at the time the Soviet threat. Now it's the terrorist threat. So if you go into the service now and Op-4 opposing forces, they teach you the terrorist threat. They don't teach you the Soviet threat.
Oh, well.
But
there's enough threats for everyone, right?
Oh, yeah. And so all of the elite forces like Marines and Air Force, Special Forces, Green Beret, those are the elite groups that need to know the terrorist threat.
Wow. And you did a lot of work in, it says here you were on the drug suppression team. You did a lot of work in that criminal investigation division in Germany, a lot of stuff in narcotics.
Oh, yeah. So at the time when I was in the Army from 73 to 76, I was with the drug suppression team, CID, criminal investigation division in Germany. And they had a thing called a khaki mafia. In fact, they even wrote a book about it. And it was run by a sergeant major, and they were involved with black marketing, drug dealing, drug transportation, and stuff like that. So they needed some MPs, military policemen, and that's what I was, an MP, military policeman at the time. And they needed someone to they needed some MPs working undercover in Germany and traveling throughout Germany, buying drugs from all these drug dealers, the khaki mafia and stuff like that, and testify at Article 32s and court martials. And so they needed people who were streetwise, somewhat cool. So when I interviewed for the position, they said, "Yeah, you're streetwise. You know how to talk to these people." So before I knew it, I was working undercover all throughout Germany.
Wow. Now that's interesting. I didn't know that could be a job buying drugs in foreign countries. That sounds like I could do that. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, but you had to return them. Okay. Yes.
Oh, yeah. And then in 1979, I went back into the Army and I went military intelligence. I was a 97 Bravo, and that's an intelligence analyst. Top secret SBI clearance, which is special background investigation. And I worked with image interpreters looking at SIP maps and different images that were taken by our satellites of Red China and North Korea.
Wow.
So that I did that.
That's fascinating.
And then I got my H identifier, became an Army instructor, and taught the Soviet threat for Op-4. So that was my whole military career.
That's you encapsulated that nicely. That was it's just fascinating, and also and then your resume goes right to a dancing career. No kidding. Dancing career and some big stuff. You worked in Tahoe in Dancing Machine. I remember Jeff Kutosh. I think he did Splash also, didn't he?
Oh, yes, he did. He did Splash in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I was a cigarette girl in that show.
Oh, my God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What a small world.
I know.
Oh, my God. Is Jeff Kutosh still around?
You know what? I don't know. That was many moons ago. I think I was in my 20s. And, but I remember that name. And I'm looking, so you got a great dance career and a comic book career. And then you go into your paranormal, just like me, living life to the fullest, right?
Wow, yeah. I mean, I look at life as an adventure. So it's like, I want to travel everywhere. I want to see things. I want to do things. It's nonstop.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I love to write. So I put out a lot of books out there and stuff like that. Oh, and also too, if anybody out there wants to locate me or anything like that, or see some of my books, they can go to Sacramento Paranormal Help on Facebook. Sacramento Paranormal Help. And also, too, my wife, she's a psychic medium, and she does free readings on Sacramento Paranormal Help. In fact, she's doing a show right now. So if anybody wants a free reading, a tarot card reading, go on there and check it out, but listen to the show first.
Yes, we'll get them over there. That'll be in the show notes, and also we'll come back to that again. I'm sure we'll come back to it many times because you have so much stuff that, when I was reading your paranormal resume, I was like, oh my God, where do I even want to start? Because you are all over everything here. And of course, I have this new thing. I have had a lot of people sort of speaking the spiritual perspective of aliens and UFOs, but I thought, wow, you have this great military career. I want to talk to you about the government cover-ups, what do we know, how much do we know anything, all kinds of stuff like that. And I always think it's funny because I always think when you're in the military or you're in the police, people always give you a lot more credibility because they're like, those guys don't speak out unless they have the facts, right?
Right. And okay, let's say we were talking just UFOs, and we can just go on and on with that. When I was in military intelligence, on a very unique day, 6 photographs came in. And on those 6 photographs were variant types of shapes of UFOs. Like there was a cigar shape, there was the disc shape, there was something that looked like a blob. Anyway, these photos actually were satellite photos. And on the back of each photo represented a video. Somewhere out there was a video taken of these different UFOs in outer space. And on the back of each photo, it said intelligent movement. And at that point in time, when I was in military intelligence, I knew, even though that Project Blue Book closed down shop, the military, especially military intelligence, was still investigating UFOs. And here I had these photographs, and all I had to do was stamp them with a number and move them along, and they went to the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, and then it went to the CIA, and then into a black hole and disappeared.
Wow.
So whatever happened to the photographs, I don't know.
Oh, and for my listeners that wouldn't know, can you give them a real thumbnail sketch of Project Blue Book? It's just all the military collection of UFO information, correct?
Yes. Project Blue Book was a way for the military to go out there, military personnel to go out there and investigate UFOs and try to disclaim them, trying to find a natural explanation for UFOs. Oh, there's my favorite ice cream man.
I was just going to say.
I want a piece. Oh, some ice cream. Oh, no, there you go.
I live in a bad neighborhood. My ice cream truck plays Christmas songs all year long. Okay. So that's how they use Blue Book. Was that, so when the title says they want to explain them environmentally or naturally, was that what they really wanted to do, or was that the description?
Yeah, well, the military actually thinks that if they were to disclose the what UFOs really are, and that we are not the only life form in the whole universe, that our society will collapse, our churches will collapse,
Right.
our beliefs and everything else, everything will collapse. They think society will just completely fall down. So the military does everything in its power with misinformation. They have officers out there who are disinformation officers that will put out false information. They'll try to say UFOs swamp gas. So basically, that's what Project Blue Book was all about.
So that's a job. I think I dated one of these guys. He gave me a lot of misinformation. So I had never heard that term, disinformation officer. So there are people out there hired just to mislead, and obviously to keep everybody in their churches or in their places, or keep society structured together. Correct?
Right. Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're already at level 10 fascination. So you where did I lose my place? Because I'm making notes the whole time. So it's after Blue Book has closed, they give you these photos, and your job is sort of just to log them?
I had a simple job. Just give it a number. That's all I had to do. Very simple. But I looked at the photographs. And I go, oh my God, here, these are pictures of UFOs in outer space taken by our satellites. And each one was a different type of UFO. You have one was sort of like a blob, like some light that was sort of blobbish, a cigar shape, your classic disc shape, a triangle, and one was like a globe. So, so I gave them a number, and I passed them on, and it went to an agent for the DIA, and I heard that from there, it went to the CIA. So, but all the photographs said intelligent movement.
And were you a believer before this, or it just kind of fell in your lap?
I was very well, sort of like how I got into the paranormal is I lived in a haunted house as a child. So I wanted to know if what I was experiencing were childhood nightmares, or did I really witness the paranormal? So I started reading books by Brad Steiger. Mm-hmm. And before I knew it, I was reading books on UFOs. And when Chariot of the Gods came out, I was all into that. So I was really into UFOs, but I didn't ever experience anything. One of the things that got me interested in military intelligence, I said, if anyone knows anything about UFOs, it's going to be our military intelligence. Mm-hmm. So why don't I just go ahead and join military intelligence and find out what's going on? And luckily, one day that happened, and I said, yes, the military is investigating UFOs. They do know there's something going on, and they're saying that they have intelligent movement. So that just blew me away.
Wow. So intelligent movement means it's not a blob that's floating away. It's something that has a purposeful trajectory to it.
Right. Like it probably would change directions and then go back to its original point. That would be intelligent. In fact, I utilize that in my paranormal investigating now. Okay, because, you see a lot of pictures of orbs. Mm-hmm. And people go, okay, wow, is that a ghost? And it could be almost anything. It could be dust. It could be a light refraction. It could be a dewdrop. It could be lint. It could be skin flakes, whatever. Something that's reflecting light from the camera back to you, and it looks like an orb. Well, what I do, if I keep on getting pictures of a certain orb, and I go, oh, wow, there's this blue orb that keeps on appearing. So I'll have one of my investigators stand by the wall and place his hand on the wall, and I'll tell the orb to appear by his hand. And I'll snap a picture, and if the orb is by his hand, then I say that's intelligent movement. So I can deem that orb as paranormal. And one of our cases that really blew me away is we had a house where this woman ghost was there, and her name was Emily. And she was known to drain the energy off the occupants. So one of my investigators looks at me and goes, hey, Paul, he goes, I need to sit down on the couch. He goes, I'm just so exhausted, so tired. I feel like Emily's probably draining me. I said, wow, okay, take a seat. And I had two other investigators with cameras, and I had a camera. I said, Emily, if you're listening to me, kiss him on the mouth, and we're going to take a picture. Kiss him on the mouth. And we snap a picture, 3 cameras, and on all 3 photos on those 3 cameras, there's an orb on his mouth.
Wow.
And that showed me right there, intelligent movement. And I said, okay, Emily, if you're listening to me, sit on his lap. And we snap a picture, and boom, there's an orb hovering over his lap.
Interesting. And you know what else that kind of makes me believe is, even when you were in doing intelligence work, or, how do you say, like with those pictures in North Korea, looking at pictures and stuff like that, I believe that is an intuitive job. Like your intuition was probably working even more there than your logic, or hand in hand, which is probably why you're pretty easy to communicate with these spirits.
It's very possible. Well, one thing is, this really blows me away. My wife, okay, when I met her, we were so much alike. Okay, our age difference is, I'm older and she's younger. I'll just put it that way. But our whole life.
We'll leave that up to the imagination.
But our whole life was so similar. Everything that I did, she was doing when she was a child, and same thing I was doing as a child, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, our life experiences really connected, and we hooked up and got married. Well, anyway, she told me she was a psychic. Okay, well, a lot of people tell me they're a psychic. Okay. But to me, it's like, okay, prove to me that you're a psychic. So on the very first investigation that we went to, we were trying to get EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, and I was unsuccessful. And she goes, well, I'm very attracted to go into this bedroom. And she goes, I feel there's something there.
I've used that line too. I've used that line. I'm very attracted to go into that bedroom. Okay.
Yeah, really. But anyway, so we go into the bedroom, we're sitting there, and then she goes, start recording now. I go, why? She goes, it's talking to me. I go, okay. So I start recording, and sure enough, I get a full-on sentence. At that point in time, I go, okay, she's really psychic. Well, being married to her, every once in a while, she'll do something that just blows me away. So driving down the street in Elk Grove, California, near Sacramento. And she goes, go into the parking lot. Go into the parking lot. I go, why? She goes, just go in the parking lot. I go, okay. She goes, there's something in the sky. Well, I'm looking in the sky. I don't see nothing. And she doesn't see anything. But she brings out her camera. She snaps a photo. On the photo is information. Of the formation are 3 UFOs. I go, what the heck?
Wow.
And so we sent the photo over to MUFON,
Who's that? Who's that?
MUFON is a UFO investigative group.
Okay.
What MUFON stands for, I can't remember, but it's a very popular. In fact, they even have their own TV show on the Science Channel. But yeah, they investigate UFOs. They have their own field investigators, and they go out there.
Kind of like SETI,
UFO
right?
sightings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I sent the photo over to MUFON, and the investigators, the ufologists, looked at the photograph, and they could not dispute it as a UFO. So before we knew it, 14 Times, which is a magazine that comes out of England, actually published the photo, and they did a whole write-up on Deanna. And it was basically on my article. It's called The Psychic Ability to Uncloak UFOs, because she seems like she's done it 5 times now, where she's pointed things out in the sky, and she's able to somehow see a UFO in the sky. Yeah, it's so weird.
Now, do you, I always think, like, when people have EVPs, when electronic voice phenomena, I always feel like a good explanation of that is that they fall digitally. They somehow fall on the taping mechanism digitally so that we can hear them. But what would be, would you be taking this picture through another dimension? They're seen through another dimension, or we just can't see them with our naked eye? Have you any opinion on that? That's fascinating that they might be there, but we're not seeing them.
Right. Or not hearing them. And it's just a different frequency, a different wavelength. So sometimes you're able to pick it up with a camera, or, something digital, or by a recording. So it's just on a different wavelength. And a lot of people who are psychic, like my wife, she's on that wavelength. We'll be cruising down the road, and she goes, "I just saw a ghost," or "I need to take a picture of the sky because I can see a UFO." And I think it all falls on the same wavelength: UFOs, ghosts, the whole works.
Right.
It's beyond normal, and it becomes paranormal.
Comes through the veil. And are these pictures? Can we see some of these pictures at Sacramento Paranormal Help?
We do post a lot of videos and pictures. I can send you actually the 3 UFOs that she took over in Elk Grove, because I have that on my desktop, and that's published almost all over the place. So,
okay.
But yeah, I can send that to you.
And we'll put the article, we'll put in the show notes, we'll put the article on 14, from 14, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that'll be perfect. Okay. Yeah. So, and I have to tell you, I did a show in Greenland for the Air Force Base out there. And, when you do a show for the military, they treat you like gold. This was, I can't remember how, it might be 20, it was quite a while ago, maybe 2000 or something like that. Yeah, it was before 9/11, so it was before 2001. And they would show us everything. They were so great about it. In fact, I know that's where Echelon was. It was much bigger then. I'm sure it's smaller now. They taken, for people that don't know, Echelon is where they sort of would monitor all the words that would go through phone lines or something, so that if I said I want to kill somebody, and then I said, "Hey, do you know who the president is?" It might pick up kill and president, and they'd go, "Uh-oh, there's a problem in, Van Nuys, California." Now with the internet, I'm sure that has to be much stranger or much harder to manipulate. But every time we'd go up, we'd meet somebody up higher on the chain of command. And I would always say, actually half joking, I would go, "So are we going to get to see the UFOs?" And the higher up we went on the thing, the more serious the person would become. And they would say, "No one said UFO. You did not hear us say UFO. No one said alien. No one has talked about anything about that at all today." Like almost rehearsed. And it went all the way down to the line till we got to the guys that they showed us actually sit and watch the satellites. And I go, "So are there any UFOs?" And the guy goes, 4 or 5 a day. And I was like, wow. But it was almost like they were going to make sure I didn't go home and say something I wasn't supposed to.
Right. That sounds like your military too.
Yeah. Well, so working in military intelligence, did you see more, or were you they were like, no, that's your job and you stay there?
No, I didn't see. Yeah, if you don't have the need to know, then you just don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and like I'm working one section of the building. Well, I can't go into another section of the building that's closed off. In fact, there's actual security guards or MPs guarding those areas. So I don't know what the next room is doing. I only know what my room is doing.
Wow. See, that's very CIA, yeah. One hand doesn't know what the other's doing. They just know they need to.
Exactly. And there was only one other photograph that came in, and it had nothing to do with UFOs. But another photograph that came in, and it was a picture of what looked like an American in Vietnam. And it was dated, I believe, 1980. So it was way past the war, the Vietnam War. And on the back of it, it said POW with a question mark. So here we talking about 1980, and the Vietnam War ended, 1973? So here it looks like Vietnam may have still had POWs back in 1980.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought for a minute you were going to say it was a ghost. And I was like, no. I go, they're looking for ghosts too? Because no. I know with the Army or the military came up with remote viewing or sort of the system for it. And it's just like the military. It's very, they've covered everything. They've looked it over. They've really investigated it and done it right. Who do tarot readers go for tarot readings? They go to Melissa Sonova at melissasonova.com. She gave me the best reading a couple of months ago that is still resonating and helping me out now. She is authentic and to the point. You loved her on the podcast. She is the no BS tarot reader. She also has a tarot class online right now. Check it out. Just watching the promo, you will see how much fun you are going to have while you learn. Also, check out her book, which is always right beside me when I'm doing my readings or my tarot card for me in the morning. It is called Kitchen Table Tarot, and you will love it. Melissa Sonova, that's MELISSACYNOVA. Check her out. So let's get to, I would love to talk to, have you ever been to Area 51? Or I would say around it, I guess, not in it.
Oh, yeah. We actually did an investigation at Area 51. I mean, not inside, but at the gates.
Oh, and nobody came and nobody hassled you that you were up that far?
Well, actually, when we got to Area 51, we went to the Alien Inn.
Oh,
and those people are so nice. And they told us, yeah, you can go ahead and camp out in our parking lot. And they actually took us, we followed them into this village. It's an abandoned village near Area 51. And why it's abandoned, I'm not really too sure. But they said some of the places were haunted. And so we actually did an investigation there. We got a couple of EVPs. It was kind of cool. So we did that. And then I did a lot of interviews. And this one lady, she said that she's been living in Rachel, Nevada for the longest time. And that one time she saw this thing that was floating in the sky. And it looked like an airplane, but it was hovering. And it came down to her eye level, and there was a pilot inside. And it was an American pilot, and he waved at her and took off.
Really?
So that was kind of weird. Okay, so we got that story, and then when we went to the gates.
Oh, can I? She said it was an airplane that came up to her eye level.
Yeah, it looked like an airplane, but it was hovering.
Oh.
And it made no noise. And it went down eye level to her. And the pilot inside looked at her, and she said it looked like an American pilot. And he waved at her and then took off.
Wow. So they're just having fun with us now. You know, that's interesting. Okay.
And they hear a lot of sonic booms. And, and then when we went to the gate, okay, well, two of the investigators claimed that to the left-hand side, that they saw a UFO pacing us and then went behind the mountain. Well, I didn't see that, okay, but that's what they claim, okay. And I don't know, but it was like I was kind of doubting the story. It's like, okay, how come I didn't see it? You know, what's up with that?
And
so anyway,
and your wife was with you? She didn't see it either?
Oh, no. This is before she met me.
Okay.
So, yeah, these two other investigators. So anyway, we got to the gate, and I was looking through up on the hillside with my binoculars. And up on the hillside, here was this guy in camis, and strapped behind his back was a sniper rifle. And I know a sniper rifle because when I was in Op 4, I used to have to fire an SBD sniper rifle. So I said, oh my God, he has a sniper rifle. And he takes it from behind his back, and he points it right at me, and he's looking through binoculars. And I said, I think it's time for us to go.
Right.
So,
wow.
Yeah, so.
and how far away was he?
I was just at the, how far? I say he was about 300 yards.
Okay,
so
it was important.
It would be a clean shot.
Okay, and he was sort of letting you know he was there. In other words, he wasn't really hiding. He was like, let's scare these people away. Wow.
Yeah, and they got signs all over that they can confiscate your cameras and everything. And I don't want my cameras confiscated. Right. It's like, okay, I think it's time for us to leave. And so we left. So but that was my experience at Area 51. And I also, too, investigated Skinwalker Ranch.
Ooh.
In Utah.
Yeah, and for people that don't know, Skinwalker Ranch is kind of famous because it just seems to be this hotbed of all kinds of activity, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's a hodgepodge of activity. It's like one of the family that lived there was a case of the bulletproof wolf. And they went out and they heard one of their calves screaming. And this wolf was chewing on his leg. Ugh. And so the father and son came out there and started shooting at the wolf. And the bullets were bouncing off the wolf. And the wolf just kind of looked at them, turned around, and walked away.
Wow.
Another incident over there is the family saw what looked like an RV driving up the road. And as it was going up the road, it morphs into a UFO and flies away.
Wow. And for folks that, that's very interesting. You brought that up. I should find somebody or call the people at the Skinwalker Ranch. Skinwalker Ranch is in what part of Utah is it? I'm always in Utah.
It's like, if I remember right, it was like 30 miles outside of Salt Lake City.
Oh, I don't go there.
Yeah.
And it's, but it's almost like a giant vortex or something where there's
it's
UFOs and spirits, and it's actually kind of darkly haunted, isn't it?
Right. The whole valley is haunted. I mean, there's stories of poltergeists, ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot. The scientists who actually took over the ranch, I guess they bought it from the family. There were scientists still, and I think the scientists are still there, but one of the scientists went out and made it public that he actually saw a portal open up in the sky, and a Bigfoot creature came out of the portal and ran off into the woods.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So,
yeah. And then
yeah,
he
but when
realized,
we got,
he was in Utah and went right back up into the portal. I'm just kidding. No, that is what I believe about all of these things. I think we're talking about all these interdimensional things. And I didn't know. So this, and just for out of curiosity, so the scientists that own it now, do they live there, or is it more of just for investigation purposes?
Just for it's just for investigative purposes. I don't think they actually live there. They probably have different shifts. So maybe 4 scientists one day are investigating there for about 4 days, and here comes another set of scientists, and the other ones go back home.
Wow.
So
and the military, does the military own that? Are these military scientists, or just is this a group we don't know who it is?
Yeah, I was told that there are scientists who work for the government.
Wow. Now, can people see? Now we're getting more conspiracy wise. Can people go there and do tours or ask to see around, or is it getting like Area 51?
Oh yeah, it's all closed off. So we were actually like just in the valley where the ranch is, and we couldn't go any further. Plus, there was a heavy, heavy, heavy storm. It was horrendous. And I went there with 2 investigators. So we were trying to set up the tent, and I kept on falling in the mud. It was horrendous. It was horrible. The only thing I experienced was we heard a strange screaming. And when I played the recorder back, all you can hear is the rain. You couldn't hear the scream. And the sky looked like it opened up, and I actually saw what looked like ball lightning. And it actually hit the ground, and it rolled, and then it just faded out. Wow. So that was very unique. I did not see any UFOs, didn't have any ghostly experiences, but it was very unique. And the next day, one of the investigators had pneumonia, so we couldn't stay there another day because we were going to stay there 3 nights. And so I had to get her back home. So that was the end of that trip.
Wow. And so you guys stayed right outside there. I'm more curious. So it's possibly government owned, or there's a sign up that says private property, because a lot of TV shows have gone in there. Is that from the past? Like they don't get to go in there now. Do they no longer let people on there at all?
That's from the past, because they recently had a documentary where they can only go so far, and it was like fenced up, and they had signs and everything else. So, yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. I wonder I guess the military is looking for a lot of stuff there. Interesting. What is your theory on the Roswell crash, or do we have technology from? Do you think the government? Here I am. I'm going to rephrase this question for the 7th time. Do you think the government is working with the aliens, or still investigating with the UFOs?
I think there's a shadow government that's actually knows everything about the extraterrestrials, and that they're working with them. And there's a lot of abductees. In fact, my wife, the reason why she has a UFO connection, because she was abducted as a child. So when she came to HPI, Halo Paranormal Investigations, she had related that story to me, and I go, wow, what an interesting story. So I wrote it up for her and got it published and put it in one of my books. But that's why she has that ability to uncloak UFOs, because she was actually abducted by a UFO. So, and I do believe that the military does have a connection. I know that they're still investigating UFOs, because I saw those photographs that came in. But I don't think my part of military intelligence was part of the shadow government.
Right.
The shadow government is a very secretive part of the military that has full knowledge of what's going on. They know that we're not alone, that there's extraterrestrials out there, and there's a many variety of extraterrestrials out there. And Roswell was just basically a big cover-up. When when things were being pushed and shoved towards their direction, all of a sudden the military came up with the story with the dummies being parachuted from the airplanes because people were saying there was dead bodies out there. So they had to come up with some kind of story.
So the Roswell thing, you think that really was a spaceship that screwed up and crashed?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then the government made up weather balloons and whatever not to distract everybody and scooped everything up.
Yeah, and UFOs are crashing all the time. I mean, but they're always being covered up. They're being covered up by the Russians. They're being covered up by other countries. Even Lawrence Livermore Labs. We did an investigation at Lawrence Livermore Labs, and that's where they have the super laser at. And so the legend has it that a UFO was checking out Lawrence Livermore Labs. In fact, they have a lot of UFO sightings over there because UFOs, they do reconnaissance over there. They watch those labs. They're interested in our super weapons. They're interested in the super laser.
And where is that lab?
Lawrence Livermore Labs. That's about, an hour away from Sacramento.
Okay.
It's right on the edge of the Bay Area.
And so there's probably a lot of UFO sightings there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why we went there.
Wow. So
we camped out over there, and Lawrence Livermore Labs, legend has it that they pointed a super laser at a UFO that was watching the bay, and they shot it down. When they shot it down, they brought all kinds of tires out by the crash landing, and they set the tires on fire to keep people away. And while people were being kept away because of the tire fire, they were cleaning up the UFO debris. And the tire fire, it actually happened. And that was during the time that people saw a UFO crash out by the hillside over there.
All right. Well, I want to put my vote in right away. Don't shoot those down. Don't start a war. Don't start a war. See, now that's interesting that there is no retaliation. Is your interpretation that these UFOs are maybe peaceful or trying to just be curious? Or why would there be no retaliation if we're doing that?
Well, in some cases, some planes have been shot down. There's a multitude of missing people. And a lot of the theory is that they're being abducted by UFOs and not coming back. I mean, look at your national parks.
Oh, yeah.
There's, a tremendous amount of people who are missing. They just vanish. And a lot of these national parks, they become national parks, paranormal phenomenon that's happening at these parks. And the government is aware of it. That's why they keep out the hunters and everything else, because of all the mysterious things that are happening there.
So they're not really concerned about the environment. They just don't want anybody in there. They just want to leave that activity as it is.
Right. One of the theories is that the military had made a contract with the aliens. We were getting their technology information, and we were allowing them to do angel stops. Angel stops are abductions of people. And the aliens started to overexceed the amount of people they were abducting. And that's when the military supposedly had a skirmish with the aliens over at in New Mexico at what's the name of that place? I can't even think of it.
It's
but
not,
it's a little,
not Roswell.
Not Roswell. I just can't think of the town right now. But there's an area in New Mexico where supposedly there's an underground base, and there was witnesses to the fact that there was a military skirmish with aliens at that underground base. So, and it's because of the fact that they overexceeded in the abductions of people, and some of the people weren't coming back. So, but that's the stories that are out there.
That's interesting because there are some good alien abduction stories and some bad. So that makes me curious to, because I mean, they always talk the different kinds of aliens, and lately I guess the most negative sounding one would be the reptilians, because they seem more egocentric or possessive, and I wonder if that's who you would have that fight with, because the others, I know there's a lot of good alien, it seems like the good alien agendas, or there's some that are actually there to help us.
Hey, it's called Dulce, New Mexico. I just remembered.
Oh, Dulce. Okay, great. Let's look that up.
Yeah.
Road trip. Well, maybe not. That doesn't sound like the great place to go. So I want to go back to the shadow government for one second. Do you think the shadow government is just our government, or is it a world government?
A world government.
Okay, so it's
many countries are involved. Russia's involved. There's UFO crashes throughout the world. And so the shadow government's international, and they connect to all these different countries and everything else. So,
well, does the shadow government actually care at all what we see, or our government? Are they sort of just doing their own thing, and as long as everybody stays in line, they don't care?
The shadow government originated with Majestic 12. And Majestic 12, as it evolved, it became international, where other people from other countries became involved, and they do their own thing. It seems like
that's like a Masons group, or the Skulls? What was the name of the group? Majestic.
Oh, Majestic 12.
I had never heard of that. So that was probably early.
Eisenhower is the one. Eisenhower, Truman, they put this group together of military specialists, scientists, and it was called Majestic 12. And some documents came out exposing them. And it has a whole list of names of who the Majestic 12 are. And theory is that they became international as time went on because of all the UFO crashes throughout the world, people back engineering UFOs in different military bases throughout the world. So, and they have to keep a lid on this. So that became your shadow government. And certain presidents know about
some do, some
the
don't.
Shadow government. Yeah, they know about the shadow government, and they know about UFOs. And Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, they say that he knew something about it, and that's part of the reason why he was assassinated. Eisenhower knew about it. Truman knew about it. Nixon knew about UFOs. In fact, he even took Jackie Gleason to a military base and showed him some alien bodies.
Well, that's an interesting pairing.
Yeah, Jackie Gleason. And they said that Clinton didn't know anything about it because they were afraid he had a big mouth.
Right.
Trump will probably never know nothing about it because he's definitely got a big mouth.
Yeah.
So
I would bet it was Cheney. I bet Cheney knew.
Yeah, Dick Cheney, yeah. In fact, I actually met Dick Cheney in Sacramento. I was at a red light, and this limo pulls up, and I'm walking the crosswalk, and I look in the back seat, and it's Dick Cheney, and he had the window down. Yeah.
Well, him
and we made eye contact.
Well, he didn't shoot you in the face, right?
No.
I would believe that him and especially HW, they were wasn't not W, but George.
Oh, George Bush.
Yes, he
He
must have
definitely knows.
because he was
both
CIA.
Bushes know.
Yeah.
Yeah, both Bushes know. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. And but they're not a part of it. They just know of it.
Yeah. And Carter, he didn't know.
No, because
But
he actually had a UFO sighting.
Yeah, he had a UFO experience. Yeah.
Wow.
But he doesn't know. Yeah.
Okay, so UFOs are crashing all over. Is that just about us so it seems like we may have had an agreement. It kind of blew up, didn't work. Now we're okay with lasers. The laser company that you talked about, is that a private company or is that a military company?
They're contracted by the military.
Oh, everyone is. Yeah. If they can shoot down a UFO, can you imagine how great they can make your eyesight? You know what, Paul? There's a lot of jokes in this one. I apologize if people don't want the jokes, but they just seem to be happening. All right. So right now, do you think we're at a mini war with them?
No, but I feel that that we're in cahoots with aliens who are looking over us. They're like watchers, and so we're probably working very closely with these watchers who are protecting us, and then there's aliens who are against us, and I believe that is sometimes in the sky, people see what looks like Star Wars. They see explosions in the sky.
Light. Yeah, the Phoenix lights, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so it could be different war factions with different alien races. And it's all about us, So there's aliens who are trying to protect us, and there's ones who are against us, and they want to do whatever they want with us, abduct us, do medical experiments on us, whatever. And I think that aliens, way back, in the ancient times, they did a lot of genetic experiments with us to make us who we are.
I agree with that. I couldn't agree with that more. And for people that are that don't know it, that's I don't know if there's one in the Mona Lisa, but there's actually things in the Bible where it seems like they're talking about a UFO. And I just, it's so weird, Paul. I've just had 3 different readings where all of a sudden, 3 separate people that didn't know each other keep telling me that I have a lot of alien DNA. And I think that we all do. I think that if they could expand Ancestry.com a little further, we would all be a little, I think that's that cap on religion where they want to say, there's us, God, and demons, and nothing else, and don't ask any more questions than that. And
right.
We're a mishmash of many things.
Right, and that's why scientists, when they look at our DNA, they have what's called junk DNA. Well, it's probably not even junk at all. And it's something that originates from extraterrestrials who manipulated our DNA. So, and they say that people that have green eyes, what color are your eyes, Karen?
My eyes are blue. They're a light blue, but when I was younger, they were very green.
Okay. People with receding foreheads, people with green eyes, people that have R-negative blood, they say that they basically have alien blood. But I believe that all people have alien blood in them. I don't believe that we really originated from this planet. It looks like we originated from maybe Mars. So,
that's fascinating. I agree with you on that. That's where, and they sort of gave us the Adam and Eve story, which is probably a different.
Right. Eden could be Mars.
Interesting. Wow. Wow. Also, I've been obsessed with the octopus because have you been reading? They say the octopus.
Oh, yes. The octopus is basically, it doesn't originate from Earth. So if it doesn't originate from Earth, then most likely it's extraterrestrial.
And they're really smart. They're unbelievably smart.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of mean.
Yeah, and dolphins are very intelligent too. And there's been cases where UFOs have been around areas where dolphins were, and the dolphins came out and were making their little noise at the UFOs.
See, my friend, I don't know, you might know Tana Newberry. She was on the show a while ago, and she does UFO tours, and they have the real heavy night vision glasses, the big military ones, the $4,000 ones, and they find UFOs, and they sort of communicate. At some point, they can flash. I'm sure it's not a flashlight or something, but they sort of like.
Oh yeah, you're talking about communication with laser. So like when we did a UFO investigation at Mount Shasta, when we saw something that we thought may have been a UFO, and we don't flash it directly on it because it could be an airplane, then we go to jail.
Right.
So we flash away from it like 3 times and see if it gives us a signal 3 times. So that's flashlight communication or laser communication that we use with UFOs. And I have night vision goggles too when we do our UFO hunts.
Yeah, and when when your wife was abducted too, did she have a positive abduction experience or a negative one?
It was a negative one.
Oh, so it was terrifying.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it's such.
I mean, it still haunts her to this day, but it's just so amazing because she does have that ability to uncloak, and we both work for Costa Rica Times. So also too, if you ever want to see any of my stories, just go into topics and hit ghosts and paranormal. And you'll see articles that she writes and articles that I write at the Costa Rica Times. And her stories about being abducted is at the Costa Rica Times. So if you guys ever want to read that. But, yeah, she had a negative experience. But she has that ability. We were at Copperopolis, which is about an hour and a half from Sacramento. And she, again, saw something in the sky. She takes a photo, and I couldn't see nothing with my eyes, and she couldn't see nothing with her eyes. But when she took the photo, there was a portal in the sky. And I had that photograph, too.
Wow, I'd love to see that. So, and she only had that experience when she was younger? It never happened again?
No, I don't think it happened again. Yeah, just that one time. But she has that connection to UFOs because there was 5 different times. There was another time going up I-5 in Sacramento, and she says, Paul, she goes, look to your right. There's a black cube in the sky. I go, come on, Deanna, there's no black cube in the sky. She goes, yes, there is, if you look. And I was trying to pay attention to the road because there was a lot of cars on the road.
Right.
And I said, oh, let me look. And so I look, and I said, I better not get into a car accident. I look, and sure enough, there was a black cube in the sky. And we both didn't have our cameras with us. And I go, oh, my God, that's incredible. And then there was another time we were coming from Bodega Bay in the Bay Area. And she points to the sky, and she goes, look in the sky. And there's something that looks like a rocket ship, and it was ejecting some kind of flame from the bottom of it. So it could have been something military. It could have been maybe a UFO. I don't know. But it was just the way it was angled and was flying in the air was kind of unusual. So that was another one where she saw something in the sky. And I was able to see it. And I saw the black cube. I was able to see that because but she gets this feeling. She goes, She feels there's something in the sky. Sometimes you can see it, sometimes you can't. It's real weird.
You know, and it's interesting because I think my guess from the information that I see is that the aliens technology has gotten better also. That they,
Right.
and I wonder if a lot of people are being abducted, but their technology to hide it or to, like Men in Black movie, blank it out.
Right.
That we may not know what's going on. Like it used to be very, like they were like, oh, we gotta use anesthesia now or something like that. Have you heard of any theories about the aliens fighting each other?
Say that again, Karen.
Have you ever heard any stories or rumors about the aliens fighting each other? Like I guess from what I have been absorbed, I guess I always absorb the information and then I feel what resonates with me, which is that they can't be us. There's something about us that they either want to be or we're their best mixture of everybody, or there's something about people that they want that's what the testing is, or that's what or they're trying to make a race of us. Like I've always thought that someone said, we are closest to God, and they kind of want in on that.
Well, some abductees say that let's say the Greys, they're replicas. Every time you make a copy, and you make a copy of the copy and the copy of the copy of the copy gets worse and worse. So they're saying that Greys are basically clones, and they're just making too many copies of themselves, and they're deteriorating. So they become a dying race. And the reason why they abduct us, the Greys abduct us, is to manipulate our DNA, to infuse our DNA into their DNA to make them a stronger being.
So they're not necessarily against us. They just kind of want what we have, and they're taking it.
Right. Yeah, it's just like what we do to cows.
Right.
And this could be a prison planet. That's why we didn't go back to the moon, because we can't.
And that's interesting.
We're sort of confined.
The dark side of the moon, they always said the dark side of the moon, was that a story of that the reason the astronauts didn't go to the other side wasn't only just the temperature, but that there was sort of something on the edge going, no, don't come on this side. Did I hear that?
Exactly. Like Neil Armstrong, when he went to the moon, he was basically saying the ham radio operators were saying that he was talking about UFOs parked on the other side of the crater watching them. So, yeah. And the moon itself, where did the moon come from? The moon itself is probably a satellite, an artificial satellite that looks like a planet, but inside is probably an alien base, and it's a bunch of aliens watching us through the moon.
It's metal. That would actually be a very interesting theory why people are affected by the full moon. If that's an alien base and it's actually energetic, it would affect people when it was full.
And why is it positioned so correctly?
Hey, you guys, looking for a great book? Never Give In to Fear, Laughing All the Way Up from Rock Bottom is the National Indie Excellence Award winner. This critically acclaimed, funny and dramatic memoir describes an emerging stand-up comic's drug-fueled descent into the underworld, escape from human traffickers, homelessness, and ultimate redemption. I promise you guys, this is going to be a movie someday. It's one of the most inspiring stories I've ever heard. And after I read the book, I bought 20 copies and I sent it to my friends, who then bought 20 copies and sent it to their friends. And if you have not yet karmically received your copy, go to martymac.com and order Never Give In to Fear. I cannot say enough things. You guys know I don't read. I read this book. I picked it up. I could not put it down. Never Give In to Fear, Laughing All the Way Up from Rock Bottom at martymac.com. MartyMac.com. This is one of those little psychic things that you would go, oh, I was so lucky, but I think it's our psychic powers, Paul. I ran out of space on my SD card, literally right when you said, how is the moon positioned so perfectly that it blocks the sun? And it went off, and I must have looked at it right then. And I said, oh my God, it ran out. And I was worried that I lost, much more than I did. But, so that was perfect. I think we didn't lose anything.
Fantastic.
And that's terrific. And I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I want to ask you one more question and hopefully you'll come on the show again, because this is all just fascinating.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely, Karen. And congratulations on your David Letterman gig.
Oh, thanks. That was 2011, but I always take a congratulations. That was such a fun, such a great thing. So thank you. So one last question about the UFOs. Do you believe, like, the UFOs themselves, like say the Greys and the reptilians and maybe the Palladians, that they are having their own arguments or wars between them, or we have no evidence of that?
Absolutely. One thing is, I believe in the whole universe, there's always good versus evil. And so you have alien races who have different thought patterns from other alien races. They let's just say they grew up in different environments. So their belief system is one way, and the other alien race, their belief system is another way. And both of we'll say the aliens, they think their way is the right way. And that might cause a war. And a lot of your ancient texts, there's always talk about the gods fighting other gods.
Right.
So if it's been happening way back then, it's probably happening now.
Yeah, and that probably could be a metaphor.
Right. Oh, and then I have to tell you something, Karen, when I put out the article, the psychic ability to uncloak UFOs.
And that's the one we'll put in the thing that is in 14, in the magazine?
Right, that was in 14 magazine.
Okay.
And I put the article out in different places. It's at Costa Rica Times and Before It's News and everything else. But all of a sudden, Deanna was contacted by a TV producer from NASA's Unexplained Files and the Science Channel. And there was something suspicious about the whole thing. She was able to obtain an email that Deanna doesn't publish. It's not out on social media. It's not a public record email. It's an email that she uses very privately. And somehow they located that email and they contacted her. So when she told me about it, I said, that's very, very suspicious. And the lady, when she had this interview with the lady from NASA's Unexplained Files, who she was representing the Science Channel, she was talking to Deanna. She was asking her all kinds of questions. And it seemed like this person who was saying who she was actually somebody else. Huh. I believe that she was part of the government, and the government was trying to see if Deanna really does have the power, the ability to uncloak UFOs, because they could be secret military aircraft and who have a cloaking device, and that Deanna may have that ability to uncloak them. And I don't believe that woman, this TV producer, who says she was a TV producer, I don't believe she was a TV producer. I believe that she was probably working maybe for the CIA or somebody.
Wow.
So, yeah. because it was just so weird because even the questions, and I've been on a lot of documentaries. They don't ask me all these personal questions. And they were asking her like, oh, how old were you when you were abducted? What makes you think you have the power to unquote UFOs? And they were just asking her all these, and then they started getting into real personal questions, and I just thought that was very, very odd.
Well, wouldn't the NASA channel be connected to the government? They should. I mean, I guess to use that name, they probably would be pretty affiliated.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a national popular TV show. When I watch the Science Channel, I watch it. It's called NASA's Unexplained Files.
Oh, okay. So it's not necessarily NASA doing it. It's someone else. Well, they're unexplained about the unexplained show.
Right. And the government's been known. Well, they had a government plot when they went into the Middle East. They pretended to be movie directors and that they were filming a movie.
Oh, that was that movie. Yeah, that was a great movie. Yeah.
And they were all government workers. The government's been known to pretend to be Hollywood movie producers. So it seems very logical that someone would say, oh, I'm part of this TV show, when actually they work for the government.
That's funny. That's actually a great angle. Everybody wants to be on TV. So, and this is this is probably why none of my shows have ever aired. Well, now you see, you made me ask one more question. Have you guys ever been approached by Men in Black?
I actually interviewed a person who claimed he was an ex-Men in Black. And he claimed that he was trained on some island. I forget where it was, and he was trained there as a child to become a Men in Black. And when I published that interview, many ufologists interviewed and contacted me, and they were saying that there was one part of the story that it seemed really believable, because the island that he was talking about was an island that's not really published by ufologists as a place that there's a lot of UFO sightings. So they thought that was very interesting. They actually believed the guy that I was interviewing was a disinformation officer, that he was putting out false information. But he gave a tantalizing clue that he knows something that other ufologists know about, and it was that island in the South Pacific someplace.
Interesting. So he left them a little nibble of truth.
Yes.
Wow. If you have that guy's numbers, I'd love to interview him. We could do it.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
He may have. Yeah. He also, if he really was who he was, he may be disappeared by now.
Oh yeah.
But wow. Well, Paul, thank you so much, everybody. It is Sacramento Paranormal Help. Go find it on Facebook. Your beautiful young wife is doing readings as we speak. But God, that was just fascinating. Thank you. I know you could tell how hard it is to get me focused when I'm talking to you from my parents' house and I'm sending emails and will you be on my podcast? And then we finally got it together. Everybody knows.
Oh, Karen, thank you so much for having me on the show. And if you ever have me back on again, remind me to tell you about my best ghost story and my best demon story.
Oh, well, now wait a minute. How long are they? Can we fit it in now? Oh, you know what? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Or you know what I'm going to do? I have a episode coming up about possession. So this is what I'm going to do. Would you mind if we made my listeners wait and I can tape it.
Yes.
Okay. All
That'd be
right.
perfect.
Great, everybody. This is it's Paul Dal Roberts, and go to Sacramento Paranormal Help on Facebook. And hey, could you help me out and give me 5 stars on iTunes or wherever you listen? And send me, please email me at paranormalkaren@gmail.com. Send me your conspiracies, your ghost stories, anything you have. I love to read them with Sister Sue. And everybody, I'll see you New Year's if you're in San Rafael. Everybody have a great day. And thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Karen. You have a good one out there.
You too.